Thank you guys so much for taking the time today.
Yeah.
It's so good to see you guys.
Good to see you.
Let's start off with what you can say about where Vox Machina is at the start of season 3.
Oh man. Beginning of the season, we have Raishan revealing herself to Vox Machina, proposing that some sort of alliance or information needs to be shared. A bunch of distrust from our heroes after riding a high at the end of season 2, and immediately being thrust into another continent in the world of Exandria, looking for things that will help them take down the Chroma Conclave.
Yeah, of course, Keyleth is very distrusting of Raishan, doesn't want anything to do with it. I think her perspective is like, we are the protectors of the realm. We can think of another solution here, right? We're good at generating ideas, Marisha said.
We're really not.
And that definitely kind of kicks off a lot of inter-party conflict.
Yeah, they barely squeaked out a win at the end of the previous season. Umbrasil handed them their asses pretty handily, and then they just managed to take it. And then they're at the point where they're trying to figure out their next moves, and Raishan's infiltration into their ranks just throws them off kilter. So if they ever thought they were going to land on their feet, they were wrong.
Yeah, and things get spicy this
Fast.
season real quick.
Fast.
Yeah, can you talk about weaving that in here and how?
Yeah, episode 1, we want to start fast. I mean, I think there are some shows that like to, lay some crumbs and, gently, weave you into a story. Nah, wake up, it's season 3, we're coming hard. So, we were excited to get to Marquette. We were excited to see Gilmore doing more of his thing, to meet Jamansa Ord, the Hand of Ord, to introduce these new vestiges that are going to be integral to their struggle against the Conclave. But also just to ratchet up the stakes. We want to put our characters in danger. We want to put the pressure on. There's no time for levity or romance. No! You gotta steal your moments away. Yeah.
Also, they're getting more and more powerful as they go, but it's like the challenge of writing a Superman comic, right? Like, nothing can touch the guy, so how do you make it compelling? So you've got these people with Titanstone knuckles, and they're the voice of their people, and they're the champion of a god, so how do you make it so that they don't just steamroll over everything in front of them? So the fun of it was coming up with challenges that could still kick their teeth in.
Yeah.
And I love the Hand of Ord, too. You get to see, different armies and their tactics, and just so different. Everything with Marquette was just so different.
And they were capable. They were the first guards that we didn't just steamroll over.
Yeah.
They were a problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so how fun is that? Because taking the campaign and then bringing it to this, how fun is it just revisiting this? Because you guys are on campaign 3 now, but you get to go back to 1 every once in a while. So what is it like to go back to the OG characters?
It's the best.
Yeah, surreal.
Yeah. I feel like I have sort of different HUDs for Caleb and for Glass all the time, and so it just means putting one down for 4 hours at a time, or 10 hours if I'm working on a script or whatever it is, and just sinking into one specific story that we've told, and they're so near and dear to our hearts because it's how all of this began for us. So I carry back right here, and I love spending time with Grog and Scanlan, and Keyleth's okay.
Yeah, Vax doesn't really care for Keyleth very much.
Yeah, I think we have we have 100,000 foot view of 3 different campaigns plus mini-series, evolving lore, deities, things that are shaking the timeline in all sorts of different ways. How are we creating an interesting timeline and shifting things up so that our existing audience feels like they're going to catch something new, that they're going to be surprised. And then I drop into Grog and just worry about where am I going to find a sandwich.
Yeah.
So it's nice. There's a good little pressure release valve there.
I feel like I'm always still surprised, both positive and negatively sometimes, going back and looking at our campaign. Because sometimes I'm like, that was a good idea. We actually did good that time. And then other times you're like, why did we think that would
Should you
happen?
have had a plan, maybe?
Yeah. But every once in a while you're like, damn, you look back and you're like, yeah, this shit's cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
I also like how Minority Report our day-to-day is, because we're in the middle of campaigns and animated series and comic books, and oftentimes we're like, ooh, grab that, put it over here. This one, slide it into that, and we're just orchestrating like the Sorcerer's Apprentice at this point.
Yeah.
Like all the different parts of our universe, and enriching the different sides of it.
Yeah, I want to talk about Keyleth quite a bit here at the end of what we see. Like, when she just, I know. But no, I was like cheering for her, you know, when she's doing the trial there, trying to find everybody. Can you just talk about reliving those moments of...
Well, yeah, I mean, the beauty of C3 is we actually didn't see any of Keyleth's Earth trial moments. So we kind of got to go back and flesh that out. It was something that Matt and I had talked about of what she would go do when Vox Machina took a minute to go handle some of their personal business. So being able to focus in on it and really like drive in kind of what happened and also give context and meaning to these incredibly powerful spells in Dungeons and Dragons, like, you know, scrying and seeing through and walking through plans and stuff.
Percy.
And,
Suddenly this epic episode of our
yes,
show.
Yeah, something that is literally a paragraph of a spell you can really, you know, kind of sink your claws into. So yeah, that was really fun, and I love so much being able to showcase more of the Ashari and their role in Exandria as a whole, because they're incredibly important people, and really getting to highlight some of Keyleth's very long-term goals in the campaign, which is like, I love the Ashari, but there are elements of our culture and our role that is antiquated, and we need to be better about this and be a part of this world that we protect. So yeah, that was really fun, and there's maybe more of that to come.
Ooh, I'm excited. And can we talk about from like a production standpoint of splitting the like Percy, Vax, Keyleth, that, you know what I'm talking about, the back and forth, because I was like,
Yeah,
I'm so happy, now I'm sad, I'm happy, I'm sad. What are they doing? Like, I'm like, yeah, both couples be making out, and then I'll be, you know? Can you talk about deciding to do that? Because that was brilliant. It was very emotional.
Yeah.
Well, it's an instance of the limitations of the production process, sort of like making things better. We only have a condensed amount of time, whereas in the campaign you had hundreds of hours for the different romances to marinate into their really distinct personalities, but we only have, you know, a handful of minutes in a season to tell it. So we needed to like apply structure to it, and it's so awesome how in that one focal point you're mirroring where they are, and they both kind of go like, and fly past each other. And I mean, I'm a huge, I love the Vex Percy storyline. I love how different it is from Vax and Keyleth. I love that they start out, I'm talking campaign here, they start out like spicy and a romp, and the two like star-crossed lovers are like, oh, it's so endearing, and then they just kind of go, they pass each other, and Vex and Percy head off into the sunset as this like beloved married couple, and Vax and Keyleth go,
Yeah.
Well, yeah, we start to dive in a little bit, just ever so slightly in this season. The very real emotions that I remember feeling at the table when Laura and Taliesin were like, so Vex and Percy are married, and we went and had a great time, and meanwhile I'm like pre-mourning the loss of my significant other, knowing that it's coming. And I remember both of us were like, fuck you guys. And you're like, you want to be happy, these are your best friends, these are your sister, and you're like, I'm so happy for you. I gotta have that feeling. So kind of start seeding some of that in this season.
Flip side, we also laughed our asses off shooting the hot tub scene. And loved like pointing and laughing at any friend who had to make romantic sounds on the microphone.
You'd lay on the floor and get under the mic and be like,
I love it.
And the sweet moments are just, I'm fond of all those memories, so it was just.
Yeah,
it
Laura
was great
throwing
to
open
revisit.
the door naked in campaign will live rent free in my head for forever, and we got to honor that.
Yeah, I think in the campaign it's so open sandbox, you can go anywhere that you want to at any time, or try, and Matt Mercer will keep up. But knowing that we have to sort of drive these characters through things, we found ourselves hitting that episode and being like, we should check in with Percy and Vex. We should check in with Keyleth and Vax. We should do that at the same time. And it's just like, that's just how that happened, and it came out beautifully.
It was perfect.
So good.
I was gonna ask if you guys have any favorite moments to revisit, but it sounds like that was a few, like the bathtub and.
Oh, yeah.
But is there anything you like forget about when you're going back and you're going to adapt and you're like, wait, I forgot that happened?
100%.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, gosh, so many things, and also it's not just forgetting about them, but it's also figuring out which things are going to get smashed together, so it makes it into the season, and then you mourn the little things like that you can't totally pay homage to, but as we visited them, it's like the little key fish tease at the end of the chateau, montage is great because we talked about it. We were like, are we ever going to find a totally downbeat moment where at the
Right.
edge of a cliff and Keyleth just throws herself from a 1,000-foot cliff,
wrecks her body.
and scatters across the rocks, and Vex flies down and just revivifies her?
Yeah.
Probably not.
Yeah.
Probably not. That just seems so strange. So there are things that we know that will live in the perfect place of the live stream, and we leave those things there, and then the ones that are integral and have to come back and be recreated, then we find a way to do that.
I remember in the writing process of 307 and going back and revisiting the Ripley/Orthax Percy fight. And I remember in the room we were like, oh yeah, and we'll do that thing where Ripley gets these like massive Orthax arms and takes over her. And I remember being like, that seems kind of dumb. that feels OP. And then I went back and I was like, oh, that happened.
So slow.
That happened. Oh shit. So yeah, being able to go in and pulling like specific dialogue moments and stuff from the original. That's the thing we probably get to do the most if we're able to, is be like, I can use this one line
And
in this
build out
moment
around
and
it.
build around it. Yeah.
The thing I've been the most surprised about is that I already know that my friends are insanely talented, so they're some of the best actors, improvisers out there. But when we're role playing, and you know this, is there are so many things that you say, and then afterwards you're like, oh, I could have said this, or I could have chosen, made a different choice, and you get to see them, one with their characters, with time and comfort, able to just create some of the best and most painful dialogue ever. And I just tip my hat to everyone because they've just absolutely crushed it in the most heartbreaking way.
Yeah. What was it like revisiting Percy's death? Like,
Wow. Feels like we got.
We made it worse.
Yeah, we did. I was gonna say we got to twist the knife even more.
That was the exact sentiment in the room. Was we knew in the live stream Percy died. We all rallied around Ripley. Shield came down. We annihilated her, and then there was, what do we do? And we fixed him really quick.
Yeah.
Death has to have agency in the show. It has to have weight. It has to stick. And so, as we were looking at it, we were like, we can make the end of 307 be super, super painful, and then the start of the next episode happens, and there's a funeral.
Yeah, that's what broke me. I was like, wait, this isn't like a Vex situation where like I was like, hold on, there's a funeral.
We had some people from Titmouse that were fans, and they were watching, and they were like, why are there lanterns under the sun tree? What's happening? No! What do you mean? He's dead? How long is he staying that way? And that's what we want, right? We want people that know what's going to happen to realize that they're going to have to turn in their card for a little bit and pick it up at the end of the season.
Yeah, I think being able to highlight Vex being kind of aloof in the Percy relationship, it was something that she, Laura kind of explored in the campaign as well. Her big famous one-liner from the campaign of like, it's yours. It's my heart, it's yours, it's always been yours. And so really kind of getting to take that moment where she had just such a beautiful moment in the campaign and just like pinch, expand. Pinch, expand.
Vex cry, I cry.
Oh.
Laura cries, I cry. It's like
It's
Tom Hanks.
so-
Tom Hanks cries.
It's so brutal, man.
Oh, I love it. All right, final question.
Okay.
Since you guys know I've been playing, we've only done 4 sessions. But I want some tips. Like, I almost died by a kid dropping an exploding rock because I'm a wizard. And I was like, this kid was going to throw a rock. And I was like, I'm going to stop him. And Dustin's like, okay, roll. And I got a 2. And he's like, well, it exploded. And now you take 2 points of damage. I was like, I only have 6.
Yeah.
So, like, and he did.
Early game, yeah.
Level 1. It's
Level
great.
one.
It's good time.
But 6 maxed out. Hit point value.
Right, I know.
Yeah.
It's insane.
Some
So,
advice?
yes, any tips? Just,
I mean, I love love character death. So I would advise to swallow the rock next time.
Yeah.
No, and I think Marisha said it great earlier. Drive it like you stole it. Like these are adventurers. There shouldn't be anything precious from my perspective, unless you have a really complicated Keyleth Widowgas backstory that just needs to be unveiled. I make characters that make fine leather boots, so no bigs. But yeah, I always just like pushing the envelope for players.
Yeah, I agree. Go ahead.
For wizards, maybe stay 100 feet back.
Yeah, I know. I was like, we weren't even in a fight. I was like, this kid's throwing rocks at wagons. I'm gonna stop him. I don't know.
Wizard.
I remember those early games. Oftentimes I was like, "You're doing great."
Hides back behind a tree.
He's like,
Yeah, I don't know. I think Travis's advice is very sound. Just the reason why we play tabletop RPGs is because you get to take these bold, risky chances that you don't get to do in real life. So yeah, embrace it.
I think my other bit would be let the DM show off. They've made a world, they've made a story, check every corner, push every button, let the bad stuff happen, because to me that's the most fun. So let them show off their world and reward them for the prep that they put into the game. That's the fun part.
If you get together and your character dies, you will never forget it.
That's true.
Yeah.
Which is why we play the game.
yeah, exactly.